Hello and welcome to Tech 24. I'm Julia Seeger. Coming up in this edition, we'll take a closer look at some of Africa's up-and-coming entrepreneurs who are making some serious waves in the technology space there by developing better solutions for Africa. But first, boosting African gaming with locally relevant content. That's what Cameroon-based Kiro Games wants to achieve. After 10 years of work, it's about to release the very first African fantasy video game based on African culture and history. Let's take a look.
It's the story of the Prince of Zama, overthrown in a coup during his coronation. To help him regain his throne, the player must accompany the prince on a journey filled with initiation rituals. The concept, inspired by role-playing games relatively unknown in Africa, plans to jumpstart the universe of African fantasy games.
We use elements from our culture and highlight the beauty of Africa, the beauty of our landscapes, our values, habits, and behaviors. And we add a lot of fantasy to ensure that we set the tone of a video game, but so that you can also feel the difference, so you can say, this is new, we've never seen this, this is African.
In 2003, Olivier Madiba, a student at the time, set himself the challenge of designing video games that Africans could identify with.
I've dreamed about it for 10 years. Setting up a video games production studio in Cameroon is a crazy gamble.
Today, Kiro Games employs around 20 animators and programmers, the first generation of video game professionals in Cameroon. A pioneer in its field, the company was able to see the light of day thanks to equity crowdfunding, a finance model that's still rare on the continent but allows people to donate money to projects of their choice through online digital platforms.
It's a model that can be used for all African information technology and communication projects. Because if one goes through the normal financing channels, there's not really, especially in Central Africa, there aren't that many venture capitalists. This model is about people from the diaspora or even people from abroad who want to participate in the new African success stories. We have this responsibility since we're the first to say if it succeeds, it will open the way for an entire industry on this continent.
It's an industry that often falls victim to piracy in Africa, but in the community of gamers in Yaoundé, the release of the first 100% Cameroonian game is eagerly awaited and promises to change habits.
As it's the very first one, if it's well done and it represents our culture, well, it will be used by everyone.
Just for the adventure, to search for what we can identify with in this game. We will find a way to buy the game.
The verdict will be out in early April when Orion, the Legacy of Coriodan, will be available to the public for download.
Let's now travel to Ivory Coast, where Thierry Dufu, a young entrepreneur, hopes to transfer the country's entire education curriculum onto a digital format. 2 years ago, he came up with Africa's first educational tablet. The government has since decided to test them in public schools, and other countries around the world are interested in doing the same. Thanks for joining us, Thierry Dufu. You're the inventor of the Kelasy tablet. How did you come up with the idea of this educational tablet, and what's on it?
Yes, the idea came from a cry of earth concerning kids and teens who used to carry huge and heavy backpacks of around 8 to 10 kilograms every time they go to school, which is very damageable for their health without necessarily accessing the best educated resources. So we create this digital backpack to allow them to go to school with less weight.
Thierry, what impact will this tablet have on the education system in not only in Ivory Coast but say in Africa?
Okay, so what we add is that we digitalize the textbooks, digitalize also the tutoring videos and application to help students access to what could be seems as the best educative resources available in our region.
And tell us, how are kids and teachers reacting to the tablets so far?
So the teacher, what they react? The reaction was very interesting. People was very enthusiastic. I can say mainly the students. They was very enthusiastic to use a digital tablet in the classroom. It was a very amazing experience for them. And for the teacher, they were a little bit reluctant at the beginning. But at the end, they found Kelasy as being very helpful for them. It will be, they find it as helpful tools, especially for some teacher-oriented application that we put in our tablet.
And what other applications do you have in mind for this tablet in the future?
Okay, in the future, what we plan first is to secure the exam. Taking an exam will be secure on our tablet. That's first. And we also plan to add digital administration for the government in our system that we are building. That's the two things we are working on now. And second version of Kelasy, which will embed examination, secure examination tools in it, and also e-administration for governments.
Well, thank you so much for that, Thierry and Dufour there. Frugal innovations are value-sensitive designs that bring relatively sophisticated products and systems within the reach of poor consumers in emerging countries. But it's not just about providing stripped-down versions of products. It's also about how to do more with less and adapting to local challenges. For more on this, Dan J. Katalkar, our in-house expert. Dan, Frugal innovations first emerged in India, but it has since reached Africa in a big way.
Absolutely, Julia. I mean, one of the best examples of frugal innovations comes from Sierra Leone. 5 years ago, the then 13-year-old Kelvin Doe used scrap products, including metal. He just mixed metal, acid, and soda and produced and created a battery. He then followed it up by creating a generator using the same technique. And this generator, not surprisingly, he used it to great effect by powering. It helped him to power his own radio station. It also helped him to help his friends to charge their mobile phones. So yeah, frugal innovation is also, it's taken big strides in Africa as well, and this is one of the classic examples of it.
And there's been some groundbreaking innovations in the field of medicine as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In Cameroon, a doctor called Arthur Zhang, he came up with an idea of a cardiopad. People in remote areas have difficulties in getting themselves checked, especially for diseases related to heart. So Arthur Zhang came up with a tablet, a medical tablet called cardiopad, which comes with sensors, it comes with electrodes, and it has a Bluetooth connection with which the data is transferred from those electrodes to the tablet. So you take the tablet to remote areas, health practitioner checks the person, gets the data and sends it back to a bigger center for processing using your normal cell phone network. And then the feedback he gets, and that he gets the feedback from the center, and then he can treat the person accordingly.
And let's wrap up with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that is also helping to solve one of the commonest problems in the developing world.
Absolutely. This unique innovation, it's basically a plant. It's called a Janicki omniprocessor. What it does is it uses the human waste. The sludge is boiled. The water vapor is then trapped. It is processed and converted into potable drinking water. While the remaining residue, it is then incinerated. It is burned basically. And the burning of this residue, it helps to create more energy as the heat is passed through a steam engine. So it automatically powers the plant. So it is a very interesting self-sustaining machine. And it's, as you said, backed by Bill Gates and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So yeah, I think it's very interesting to to see that even waste doesn't go to waste.
Well, thanks so much for that, Dan. Well, that's all we have time for. Remember, you can get in touch with us on Twitter and on Facebook. Our hashtag is Tech24. And today, we leave you with a video released by the U.S. Navy. Scientists have unveiled details of a prototype, human-sized firefighting robot. It's capable of putting out shipboard fires and working seamlessly with human firefighters. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.